And again, if you're just joining us, 4.8 magnitude earthquake has hit Melbourne, far down as the Mornington Peninsula and metro areas like Hawthorn. The previous one was a lot less than this. Again, the early reports we're getting was a 4.8. That is premature. That's just what we're hearing now. But it's definitely woken a lot of people up if they weren't up already, probably watching the cricket. But 4.8 is what we're hearing. Well, we know the last one from a couple of weeks ago, that was on a Sunday night, it was just before Monday morning, late Sunday night, was a 3.8. This happened at 1:32am Australian Eastern Standard Time, so 12 minutes ago here in Melbourne, another earthquake. And stress, while it may seem insignificant, especially on comparison to international, it's not often you have one in Melbourne that is felt by a lot of people, and this is happened just a few weeks after the last one. Did you feel it? Are you watching from Melbourne? Did you feel it? Let us know. But this is extraordinary, and again, it's really a rarity in Melbourne, or maybe not so much of a rarity now in Melbourne, but it's just incredible that it's woken everyone up. If again they weren't already up, so yeah, it's just stunning. And again, you're still not prepared for it. I still felt like the house was falling down for a split second. 4.8 is the early reports we're getting. Obviously no reports of damage at this stage, and that's probably because it's almost 2am here in Melbourne, and I'm not even sure the SES team on social media is up and awake, and that's fair enough. But we're here at 6 News, maybe 1:45am, but we'll keep our coverage going. Again, if you're watching from Melbourne, you felt it, let us know. But again, this is just it's amazing that it's happened again. It's amazing that it's happened again. So if you were woken up, let us know. Someone else felt in Mickleham. Someone else said, no, yes, I felt it. And I've heard some reports it was in the Mornington Peninsula. It was felt, again, definitely felt in those inner areas like Hawthorn as well. I can attest to that. But it's happened again, so which is quite remarkable to think about. Some early reports we're getting now was at a depth of 3 kilometres, and it was, from what we're just seeing, I just want to confirm this, in near the township of Matlock. So that's outside of Melbourne, obviously, but it's definitely felt in Melbourne, felt very clearly across Melbourne and outer Melbourne areas. We wouldn't suspect any injuries at this stage. We would hope not. But may have, if you've got a pet at home, may have freaked them out. Check on your pet, because Well, usually they're alert a few seconds before, is what we know. Usually they're alert a few seconds before. So this is this is why it's important to stay up at night. Again, we've got some other people commenting on social media. Someone said felt it in Ringwood. Someone else is in Croydon and didn't feel it. Someone else said Port Melbourne. For some, it lasted a while. For me, it was quite short, about I'd estimate about 5 seconds. So don't suspect any damage at this stage unless we get that confirmed. In regional Victoria, we don't know much there. But obviously most people will feel it in Melbourne. That's just a population thing, isn't it? Someone else didn't feel it in Brunswick, but certainly felt around a lot of Melbourne areas. A lot of the same areas that were felt last time, mind you. 4.8 the early reports that we are getting now. 4.8 magnitude earthquake hitting Melbourne at about 1:32 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We're coming to you from our Richmond studio. Someone else says in Richmond. Someone else says felt in Dandenong, went for almost 15 seconds longer than a month ago, but not quite as violent. See, only about 5 seconds for me, which is relatively short. But I'm saying that from Hawthorn. I can attest to that from Hawthorn. But it didn't go for too long. Which is the amazing thing, that it didn't go for too long, because I was worried about whether it's going to go for a while. But oddly, unlike previous times, because of the last one, you instantly knew it was an earthquake. You instantly had that feeling. And so, yeah, quite extraordinary in Melbourne. Again, 4.8 magnitude earthquake hitting Melbourne around 1:32 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm getting used to it personally. It's a weird thing to be used to an earthquake from Melbourne, but well, that's what's going on in Melbourne these days. Again, that last one was a couple of weeks ago. That was about 3.5, so less. But again, in terms of where you felt it, how long it went, whether you thought it was violent, bit subjective. Does depend on where you are. Keep watching headlines, top of the hour, every hour on 6 News. We've got the latest developments, and stay with us all overnight and throughout the morning as we learn more about this. I'm sure we're going to get some SES and authorities commenting on this once everyone starts to wake up. Again, if you're just joining us, though, 1:32 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, a 4.8, we understand, magnitude earthquake has shook parts of Melbourne, and that's all we know at this stage. 3.5, of course, a couple weeks ago, but now possibly a bit larger, although that could be downgraded. We stress as it goes on. These are the early reports that we're getting in. Stay with us, more coverage right throughout the evening and straight up in the morning as well. When news happens, it'll happen on 6 News, so stay tuned. You'll see the latest developments on what exactly is going on here, what this means, and any further details we get on that. Follow us on social media at 6newsau. Support our journalism, patreon.com/6newsau. But keep watching, keep giving us your thoughts on this earthquake and what has just come in the past few minutes. 4.8 magnitude, 1:32 a.m. and lots of shaking reported. Some going for a few seconds, some going for about 15 seconds. So a bit subjective depending on where you live. 3 kilometre depth are some of the early reports that we're getting in at this stage.